Hey everyone, and welcome to A Balanced Life here at Black Star Network. And each and every week, we're bringing you tips and tools to put in your balanced living toolkit. As you know, we're talking this time about being an entrepreneur, how to handle the great resignation, and of course, what it means to live your dream. Now, hey, look, I'm just going to say it. We've all been in that space where we've had a really good side hustle, but now we're in that space of turning that into legitimate businesses. And a part of being able to turn your side hustle into a legitimate business is being able to understand all the nuances of not only what it means to run a business, but how to keep your head on straight. All right, hear me well now. How do you keep your head on straight when you're trying to run your own shop? Whatever shingle that you've hung out, whatever business plan that you have, whatever website you're trying to develop, social media platform, there are a whole host of ways and opportunities for you to begin to thrive in the thing that is your passion that you choose to pursue. Today, we're going to be joined by some amazing people. We have our contributors today, Stacey Owens, who is an author, educator, and charter school owner. We have with us today Dr. Tierney, who is our level up coach and author. And we're also going to have some special one-on-one time today with Art and Sheldana Robinson. They are the owner of Sheldee's Beauty Salon. And let me tell you, industry is everything. Hey, everybody, welcome in.
Hello.
Hey, I am so excited that you all are here today because we hear and see a lot of people trying to figure out how to navigate if they have the wherewithal to be an entrepreneur. And as we know, it is not an easy space. Everyone here today is running their own business. We've been doing it for quite some time, and we believe we have something of value to offer. I'm going to start with Dr. Tierney to talk to us for a moment about how do you get your mind right to start living your dream? Because we know it's a process. Dr. T.
Commit to the process first and foremost, and know that it's a process. Do not think that this is going to be something that you're just going to do overnight. I know it might feel like you woke up one morning and said, I'm going to start my own business, but really like wrapping your mind around that thing, it takes some time. You know, I was actually just having a conversation with a good friend of mine who made the transition to be an entrepreneur. And I told her one of the biggest mental hurdles that you have to make is switching from a W-2 brain to a CEO brain. And what I mean by that is when you are in a W-2 space, you're looking to your supervisor, your team, your management team, or whoever that may be for kind of the directive of where the company is going. When you're the CEO, you're the one that's outlining the direction that you're going and what you want your company to do and be and to grow into. And so once you kind of start making that mental switch there, then it unlocks more of your creativity. It unlocks more of the opportunities that you're able to see around you. Even in the face of different adversities, you'll be better able to see the opportunities. Whereas when you're in the W-2 kind of brain, it's like, oh, well, this isn't going to work. So let me go and find me another W-2 so that I can not have to deal with all of this. So again, the biggest piece is just understanding that it is a process. It's something that happens over time, and it's something that you continually learn. And I'm going to go ahead and on a limb here and say, every one of us that's on this show today, we're still in that process. We're still learning. It's still different things that are unlocking no matter how long you are in business. It is truly a process.
Let me ask you a follow-up question, because oftentimes there's a difference between being in the right headspace and becoming a head case. How do we avoid some of those pitfalls of becoming a head case in the process of living the dream?
Absolutely. Get the right people around you. Basically, we're all going to have moments where we are a head case. For about 2 weeks prior, I was a bit of a head case. But when you have the right people around you that can help you see what you can't see, that can literally look you in the face and say, okay, sugar, you're being a bit of a head case now. Like, come on, it's okay. And, can help you just really navigate that thing. That's what really keeps you from getting stuck in that headspace that ultimately will ruin your dreams and cause you to dismantle some things. It's not that we won't ever be in that space. We're all going to be in that space where we feel like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling, and, anxiousness, some depression, all of that is going to happen on this entrepreneurship journey. So if you feel that, don't think that something's wrong. That's kind of par for the course. The goal is to not get stuck there. And the way to not get stuck there is making sure you have the right people around you, be that, friends, family, be that your coaches, business coaches, be that other like-minded business owners that can walk this journey with you.
Absolutely. Stacey, let me ask you this question because you're in that space. Some of us are solopreneurs. It's just us running our company and we may, contract people from time to time, but you are an employee-based business and you actually employ people. How is living the dream for you in this time of doing this and all the other things related to running your school?
Yeah, when you're taking that hobby and you're turning it into that reality, and you have that type of reality that involves employing other people, you're now carrying your weight and their weight too. So you do have to have a commitment, like Dr. Tierney was talking about. And I think you also have to have a sense of determination. You have to be determined that you're going to learn those hard lessons, that you're going to be able to not only help yourself, but also be able to operate in that space where you can provide assistance to others, because now I'm dependent on others to become part of my dream. So every one of my employees out there, I tell you first, when I onboard you to start working here at the school, the first thing I say is, here's my legacy. Here's my vision, my dream. Here's what my end result will look like in terms of what it looks like in my head. And then I start helping them to see, how can you become part of that legacy? How can you become part of that vision? Because now they have to buy into it. They have to buy into the fact that they're going to put aside, while they're here in that employee status, they're putting aside maybe some of their hopes and dreams, and they're starting to work with you, alongside with you, to bring yours to reality. And I think that's the hardest thing, is finding those right people that understand the legacy building of somebody else's dream, and then they are willing participants of wanting to bring someone else's vision to life. If you find those right people, then it works like magic.
Working like magic isn't always easy. What are some of the qualities that you look for, Stacey, in people who you believe can be legacy builders alongside you?
See, now that's going to depend on what your legacy is and what you're doing. See, for me, my legacy is children. So I'm looking for somebody who's passionate. You care. Do you even like kids, first of all? Because if you don't, you'll be in here being a kid killer, and we can't accept that. So we want to make sure that you're passionate about what you're doing. You have compassion for others. You're able to come in and be diverse, see the world through other lenses and not just your lens, because now you are about to become a cup that's going to pour into the babies that I have floating around here in the school. And I want to make sure that you're going to give a good, clean pour and not come in here and be toxic for them.
Now you said a mouthful right there, because oftentimes, depending on your industry, there are different things that you need in order to be able to do the work that you're trying to accomplish. I want to invite in Art and Sheldana just to say hey to the people and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do. And then when we come back in our second block, I want to have some one-on-one time with these good people. Hey, Art and Sheldana.
Hello. Hi, Dr. Jacquie. How are you?
I am well. Thank you so much for joining us. So tell the world what industry you're in, who you are, and what you do.
Well, I'm Art Robinson. This is my wife, Sheldana, and we're the owners of Sheldy's Beauty Salon in Sterling, Virginia. And we've been in business now we're in our 28th year in business. And we do the full gamut of hair services. And that's what we do. We also retail human hair extensions and lace wigs as well.
So you just described for me what a lot of people who come into your industry wish they could do, which is expand and explore their options. Being in business 28 years, when did you decide to go from just doing hair to also offering product? Because there's a part of the industry that's service, and then there's a part of the industry that is product and business. How does that happen?
Well, for me, it was really sort of an epiphany. Once I determined, to be honest with you, the profit margin in selling things like extensions and lace wigs, we were buying those things already, from other outlets. And then once we, started to recognize that, hey, if we could get a high quality, stable product line that we could import, that, we could really, change the game, for our business, and for us personally.
So what does that look like in terms of who went to beauty school, Sheldana or Art?
Trust me, I don't know anything about beauty. I mean, I'm the complete business side,
right.
and Sheldana is totally operations.
Totally operations.
So,
yes.
So yeah.
So those are two different sides of the business. When we come back after the break, I want to unpack that for a moment, because many of you are out there. You may be in beauty school, hair school, barber school. You may be trying to figure out what it is you want to do with your creative passion. But oftentimes it's important to understand the operational side and the business side of your business. We'll be back in a moment after the break.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Welcome back, everyone, to A Balanced Life. And as you can tell, if you're deciding to open up your own shop, you got to bring your passion, you've got to bring your creativity, you have to have a sense of business, and you need to have people around you who can keep you well balanced as well-rounded. We're having this conversation today with Art and Sheldonna Robinson of Sheldie's Beauty Salon. Let's bring them back in, because they mentioned something at the last block that was interesting about the operational side and the business side. So I'm going to ask Sheldonna this particular question, because you all have a variety of people in your shop who do more than just little kids and people with gray hair and all of those things. So how do you decide who to hire for the kind of business you're running?
Well, we do all types of hair. So whether it's weaving or braiding or natural hair or relaxed hair, we do it all. So a lot of the girls, we always tell people to stick to their lane. Like some of them just like doing braiding. They don't like to get into, doing weaving or natural hair or anything else. So we always tell them to stick to their lane. So we always look for someone for braiders, some girls just like to braid. Then we have girls that just like to do weaves. They prefer to do weaves. Then we have ones that like to do, the just natural hair without adding hair to it. So it's a wide, it's pretty wide. And we just look for people that, what their passion is, because everybody's passion is not, like, I don't do weaving because I don't like to sew. So I mostly stick to natural hair. So we always figure out, what's their passion to do, because it's when you like to do something, you're going to love it and you're going to continue to do it.
I think that makes perfectly good sense, because oftentimes people get offended when you say things like stay in your lane. But the reality in business is if you're not in your lane, as Art said, you can't find that profit margin. So Art, what does that look like when you think of diversifying? At some point, you went from doing maybe one type of hair to moving into other lanes of hair care. How does an individual in your industry decide when it's time to expand?
Well, for us, in terms of the types of hair that we do, that was really sort of predicated on the staff that we got. So, as we brought in more and more people, different ones had proficiency in different areas, and so that's how we expanded our the services that we provide. But in terms of the wigs and the extensions and importing that and the products, that's really just a recognition that we could, that we could really sort of cut out the middleman and, go direct and, get those items and sell them and increase our profitability.
So I'm going to ask a question from a consumer perspective, because I know our audience is watching. Oftentimes people don't know where to go and who is right for them. Can either of you share how a client can select the stylist that's best for them?
I think it depends on what they want. A lot of times on the phone, a lot of times it's best to come in for a consult, but a lot of times, at the front desk, we tell them to try to figure out, especially if someone new, or on the phone, we tell them, what do you want? What are you looking for?
Because if you're looking for a natural hairstylist, that's what we're going to give you, a natural hairstylist. If you're interested in relaxers or your hair is breaking or something like that, then we're going to give you a stylist that deals with that. So we try to make sure that we get a lot of information on the telephone first. And if we can't get enough, we ask them to come in for a consult so we can actually talk to them.
So this type of consult that you do, it really does help the consumer or your future client determine what it is they want. I want to bring Stacey and Dr. Tierney into the conversation because over the course of time that I've known them, all of us have changed our hairdo. We have gone from one thing to another. And Sheldonna and Art bring up a really good point. Oftentimes we decide the hair we want to wear based on the outfit we're wearing. When we think about going to a concert, the first thing we say is, what are we going to do with our hair? How is it, ladies, that you make decisions about what to do with your hair, whether you're transitioning in from a relaxer or out of a relaxer to a natural hairstyle? Stacey, you're wearing your locks. How do you make these levels of determination?
I made my determination based off of, I was going to the stylist once a week at one time in my life. And my schedule just became very busy. And for some people, when you go to the hair salon, that's a self-care moment for you, and you're relaxing and you're enjoying that time. And for me, it was anxiety and stress because I wanted to get in and get out. And so I knew I needed to do something different. So I went to a natural state, and then I was like, oh wait, this is tougher than I thought. I don't know if I want to do this either. And so that's how I ended up in the Sister Lock world. I was like, let me lock this up so that I can become a plant and just spray it with some water and just keep moving. And so, and I don't have to see anyone for about 6 weeks to get it retied. And I want that quick too. So that's how I got to the locks. And the whole blue thing, that became my brand. You know, I decided I wanted to be as blue as possible because I came across an opportunity where someone tried to determine that the way that our hairstyle or the way that our hair grow out of our heads should determine what we should be able to do in certain business worlds, or it should determine how smart we are, and it should determine whatever. So my blue hair became a brand for the school because I wanted to show kids that it's what's in your head and not on your head that makes a difference. And I can run a school, I can sit in any boardrooms, I can run the gamut with anybody, right, with this blue hair. So now I'm sort of stuck with it because the kids now look at is what I learned and what I put in my mind that's going to make me be great in terms of bringing our dreams together. So that's sort of how I became the Blue Hair Lock Lady.
I love the story because individuality is such a very big component of who we are. And as women, certainly how we wear our hair and what we do. And I I'm in the salon a lot. So I noticed that men too are also getting, their hair done. And it's a very big part of who we are and what we do. Dr. Tierney, what's your hair journey?
Well, so I was very much in the higher education kind of corporate space. So for years, I prescribed to your hair has to be a certain way and a certain, exactly what Stacey was saying, to exude my level of intelligence and to be accepted and da-da-da-da-da. And so I actually grew my hair out, and I wore sew-in for, several years. And I liked it that way. I liked, wearing my hair that way. And then all of a sudden, when I just got kicked off of the corporate hamster wheel and became the reluctant entrepreneur, I realized that there's so much more that I could do, with my hair, with the color of my nails. And because there was no one to tell me that I couldn't. And so it's like I had this grand awakening, and I decided that when I turned 40, I wanted to cut my hair back off. And so I researched for about a year, found an amazing stylist, and I looked at, his clients, because the main thing for me was just the health of my hair. I wanted to make sure that my natural hair was healthy, and continue to stay healthy. And went for a consultation and said, okay, when I come back, we're chopping it off. And so that's exactly what I did. Chopped it off, and it's all gone, all up under here. It's all gone. And I have not loved it any more than I thought that I could. Like, I absolutely love my hair short. I love my hair long. I love everything about it because it's me. It's a reflection and an extension of who I am. And like Stacey said, it's not about what's on my head. It's what's in my head that matters. And what was important to me was to have a stylist that understood me, that's one less thing that I have to worry about. So when I go sit in Dorica's chair, he pretty much tells me what we're going to do. he was the one that said, okay, we're tired of the brown. Let's, start going blonde. And I was like, oh, okay, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. And so that's what we did. And now he's told me that I'm transitioning to natural. So that was never on my radar because I didn't want to deal with all the things. But yeah, now she's transitioning to natural. It'll still be short and still be sassy and still be fierce, but it'll be natural. So I have no idea what's next, what the next color is, what the next length is, because I've just kind of turned that over to my stylist who I trust and who knows me, knows my style, knows what looks good. And that's one less thing that I have to worry about. And so, yeah, we don't know where, I don't know where my hair is gonna end up, but wherever it ends up, I know that it'll be amazing and wonderful because I'm more concerned with, like Stacey said, what's in my head and what's in my heart than what's on my head.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I want to invite Art and Sheldana back in for a moment because this conversation, you guys have sort of turned that corner to social entrepreneurship. And for most of our audience, they've been with us long enough to know that individuals who do social entrepreneurship, individuals who bring a message to the work that they do. Art and Sheldana, not too long ago, Yamiche Alcindor came to visit you and you all did a PBS special and you talked a lot about the value of hair and self-esteem and the Crown Act.
When we talk to our clients who are in the corporate setting, most of the conversations are along the lines of, I'm in a predominantly non-Black environment, so I can't go in looking like my hair is not being taken care of, because there seems to be that assumption or that bias that if you have natural hair, you're not taking care of it.
How did you turn that corner to decide to make a social message become a part of your brand and your business?
Well, I mean, just like the other young ladies were saying, that it's really more about what's inside your head than what's on top of your head. And we really just want to be a place. We don't judge anybody based on what hairstyle they want. If you want to be natural, you can be natural. If you want to be relaxed, you can be relaxed. If you want to put a weave in, wear a wig. I mean, we're here to do whatever it is that that you want to do. But we just wanted to. That piece on PBS essentially was about how the state of Connecticut had joined a bunch of other states in making it illegal to discriminate against someone based on how they wore their hair. So, but we're really neutral. You know what I mean? We're not. We're pro everything. We're pro, whatever it is. If you like it, we love it, and we'd like to be able to provide it for you.
I think that's an important message for people to hear. We often have stereotypes in communities of color related to how you wear your hair, whether you wear it curly or you jump out the shower and you just wear it wet, or if you lock it up, twist it up, do whatever that it is. There are often times that we are out of balance as a people because there's so many stereotypes. I'm going to jump ahead and go into it. When we come back after the break, I want to unpack that for a moment because many of you are out there. You may be in beauty school, hair school, barber school. You may be trying to figure out what it is you want to do with your creative passion. But oftentimes it's important to understand the operational side and the business side of your business. We'll be back in a moment after the break.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. This is an opportunity for us to be able to speak to our issues. Y'all better understand something real quick. We ain't going nowhere. It is a continual battle that we see all across this country. Revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be streamed.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
He makes sure that our stories are told.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
Welcome back, everyone, to A Balanced Life. And in this moment, we're at that stage where we're going to talk to you about how do you really unpackage your business plan? How do you make your dream a reality? How do you live this thing that has been in your heart for so long, while at the same time learning how to battle stereotypes? Oh, you can't do this business because you're Black. You can't do this business because you're brown. You can't do this business because you're a woman or because you're a man or you don't look a certain way in this industry. Oftentimes, there are things that we come up against in business that we never would have dreamed of were a part of our business structure. I want to start with Stacey for a moment, because in this world of education, Stacey, where you're teaching children that they can be anything that they want to be, how are you helping them combat stereotypes when it comes to them wanting to live their dreams, even as young people starting businesses? Stacey?
I mean, I think first you have to have an awareness of what it is that you want to be, who it is that you want to be. And then once you can stand solid on yourself, then you just have to be able to clear the noise. I call it clear the noise. Like, pick and choose what you want to listen to. And if you're hearing people give you any kind of stereotypes or any kind of negative thought patterns on what it is that you're trying to do, I take the advice of ET. I don't take constructive criticism from anybody who haven't constructed anything. So, you know, I've had that happen. When I started the journey of starting a charter school, I had some very powerful people in the community to tell me, you know, Stacey, you know, charter schools aren't for African American people, they're for this group. That was stereotypical. And I was like, well, what makes our kids not to be able to deserve a certain school choice just because I'm an African American female? That didn't make sense to me. So maybe the norm says that it's not, but I don't tend to go with the norm. I tend to be a trailblazer if that's what I want to be. So that's what I chose to do. So I did it. And we've been doing it for about 10 years now. And so you hear that a lot, because a lot of times what people will do is they will project their fears onto you through the form of a stereotype or their thoughts, you know? And so I just try to say, hey, I know what I want to do. And once I make that decision that that's what I want to do, then I'm going to listen for the conversations and the people of my tribe that's going to come and help me do the thing that you think I can't do, whether it's stereotypical or not. I mean, you know how many people I hear ask me about my hair color or the way I dress, and I'm going to put my crop top on and I'm still going to find somebody to make my hair even bluer whenever somebody says something about it, because that's your thoughts, not my reality.
That's interesting that you say that, because the power of projection is real. People do have a tendency to project their fears onto us. And how do you combat that? You mentioned quieting the noise. How do you determine when to shut all that down? Because some people don't know how to escape the noise.
When it starts causing confusion. You start having your conversations with me and I start becoming unclear about what I thought I was going to do, because I'm listening to all this outside noise, then I'm going to go within. I'm going to go find my quiet space so that I can hear my inner God and can hear my higher being, because that's who direct my steps, not everybody else in the world. So, and usually if I'm going down a path and everything is connecting, then I know that that's the path I'm supposed to be on. I'm also smart enough to know that if I'm on a path and I'm having a lot of roadblocks, a lot of friction, I'm knowing, okay, maybe that's not the time for me to be there. So it's really about being intentional and being aware and operating in the present. But if you are unclear, unsure about what it is that you're trying to do, you will get mixed up in a lot of personal thoughts. I mean, I let people say what you're going to say what you're going to say, right? So I let you say whatever you're going to say, but then it's up to me to filter that through what's actually happening in my reality. And I've also learned that the higher up I went on this ladder, that it's lonely, because now you have to I think, protect your space. Like I'm now, before a lot of people fell off and I didn't understand. And I was like, no, where you going? I want all these people around me. Now I'm like, oh, go ahead on, get on. Let me have some space by myself so I can think about it, because the higher up you go and the decisions get harder, you have to interact with at a different level. And some people are just not on that level. And it's not that I can't value their opinions, but I have to understand, I have to look at, where is this coming from? What value are you? What understanding? What are you bringing to the table for me to decide if I'm going to help that? But a lot of that, I just filter with, let me get into a space where I can hear my inner self.
Absolutely. Dr. Tierney, talk to us about that, because so many people do want to level up in their real life space. You know, they feel like they've gotten it together. They've been on this journey for a moment. And then all of a sudden, here come Nancy Naysayer. You know, how do you manage to level up when there are people saying you need to, you know, dumb it down?
Mm-hmm. So I want to take the focus off of the external Nancy naysayers and put it on the Nancy naysayers that are inside of us. Sometimes we are our own worst Nancy naysayer. Sometimes we are the one that's applying the stereotype to ourselves. And I say that with love because I was that person, after getting my doctorate degree and thinking, oh, okay, I'm about to be the president of XY University, because that was the trajectory that I was following. When everything started to kind of crumble around me, I was still working to get back into that arena because I had the stereotypical thought that because that was the degree that I had, that was the experience, some of the experience that I had, because that was the direction that I was going, because I checked all those boxes, that was the only thing that I can do, and I held myself hostage to that for too long. For far, far too long, when it took someone else external, actually, it was Dr. Jacquie, to come along and say, don't you see all that you can do? Don't you see all that you've been doing? Like, look beyond the title, look beyond the university, look beyond that role, and look at exactly what you were doing. And so it actually, in my case, it took someone external to me to shut up the Nancy naysayer that was in me, to help me to get outside of the stereotype that I was holding myself to. So I don't want us to become so preoccupied with what everybody else is saying as they are the Nancy naysayers. Sometimes you need to check yourself. You need to check what you're thinking, because you may be the one that's getting in your own way. And here again, I say it all the time. This is why having a coach is so important. Having someone that has gone before you, having someone that can show you receipts of what they've done, and how they got over, what I'm saying, basically how they made it over, that they can show you, here's how I navigated this area of my life, or this trial or this tribulation. And here's how I can coach you to do the same, because those are the people that's going to help you to shut up the Nancy naysayer. They're the ones that's going to help you get out of that stereotype and get out of your own way, so that you can ultimately get to the goal that you may not even see yet. I did not see any of this. I did not see my business. I did not see me being on TV, coaching, and I did not see any of this, but Dr. Jacquie did. And I'm so thankful that she did, because in her shutting up the stereotype that I was holding myself to, I've been able to bust all kinds of glass ceilings that I wasn't even aware of. So get a coach, sugar.
Get a coach, sugar. I love when she says that, because I think it brings us to that space of how we grow. And I bring Art and Sheldana in for a moment, because oftentimes people don't understand when you need to grow. And not everybody is on board when you're trying to grow your business. Art and Sheldana, talk to our audience about that for a moment. How did you know when it was time for you to grow, to relocate, to, build on, expand, all the things that you do? To be in business for 28 years, you're not where you started. You've definitely surpassed that. How do you know when to grow, and what does that conversation look like between a couple who is doing this together? Because family business has its own ups and down and ebb and flow, but you guys do it well. What does that look like for people looking to expand?
Well, I was a Nancy naysayer. I was always the one like, wait a minute, let's don't do that right now. I was always the one said, okay, we can't be open on Sundays. So shops are not normally open on Sundays. And then he wanted to open on Mondays. I'm like, wait a minute. So that was me. So I was all one trying to hold back, but he thinks he can do anything. He's like, no, we're going to do it. Let's do it. Let's just jump into it. And it has worked. So he has helped me a lot, seeing the things that we have accomplished, in the 28 years, because he's like, no, we're going to do this. We can do this. I was the one more like, just really scared. But now, 28 years later, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it,
So this is like that marriage between what is business and what is passion. Art, how does that work? And you have the business acumen, Sheldana operational and creative. How do these things work together? Because sometimes people can't see that they can't do it alone. Help us out.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing, Dr. Jacquie, is staying out of each other's way. I don't know anything about anything as it relates to doing hair. And, my wife, Sheldana probably knows a little bit about the business side of it, but staying out of each other's way and compartmentalizing. And she's, it was a little rough there initially, but she's given me the space to do what I do, which is, business and expansion and, marketing and so forth. And I don't get in her way operationally about how things go, no matter what I think. And I know just enough to be dangerous. So I mean, but I don't say anything about it. I say, hey, honey, that's your department. That's your lane. I'm going to leave that to you. You leave the business to me. So I think the biggest thing is to respect each other's level of expertise and, where you fit in, and give your partner the freedom to do that part of their job.
So have you two always been in business together, or did you have different career paths at one point?
Well, Sheldana's always been a hairstylist, but I came from the investment business. I was a stockbroker for Merrill Lynch and then Prudential Securities, and essentially I came into the hair business because I was spending so much extra time managing the business, running the finances, doing the marketing and so forth, that I was not doing my day job as efficiently as I needed to be. And so I walked away and then just decided to, do the management of my own assets, and then as well, run the business side of Sheld's.
I think that what you stated was super important. So if you guys were listening, Art said that he was an employed entrepreneur. And oftentimes being a double E is the space where we find ourselves when we're trying to determine, do I leave my day job to pursue my dream, or do I take a pause and discover how to meld them together from time to time? Dr. Tierney, talk to us about that process of making the transition from my dream job, my life, what I want to do, and having to keep a day job in order to pay for my dream if I'm going to really live it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So there's this perception that entrepreneurship means that you have to be on the struggle bus. And that's not everybody's story. For a lot of people, it's that your dream starts as a side hustle. So you're working at your W-2 job and you're growing your business on the, on the side. And for a number of reasons, you might stay with your W-2 for insurance pieces until your baby starts to grow, your baby being your business grows to a point to where it can be self-sustaining. You don't have to absolutely 100% quit your job in order to, totally start your business. Now, the thing that I will say is that you do have to put your weight behind your business. You can't treat your business like it's some hobby. You can't treat it as something that is optional, or I might do it if I get to it. If you truly want it to grow, that doesn't mean you have to totally cut off everything else, but you do have to make sure that it does have your focus. There's also examples where you might be 100% in your business, and then you have to back it up and punt, and okay, well, let me go and get a 9 to 5 because now we've had this life transition or this situation happen to where we need this steady income or, this steady insurance or whatever it is. All of that is okay. The road to entrepreneurship does not look the same for everybody. It is not a one size fits all. And there is no quote unquote exact right way to do it. The right way to do it is the way that works best for you, for your industry, for your business, and for your family and for your lifestyle, period.
Absolutely. When we come back after the break, let's talk for a moment about what it means to step into the space full time. We'll be back after the break.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Welcome back, everyone, to A Balanced Life. And as you can tell, being an entrepreneur requires you to have your head in the game. You can't decide one day, I don't want to do this anymore. Well, actually, you can, but have you given it your all before you decide to step out? I want to talk to Stacey about that for a moment, because there comes a time where you have to say, you know what, I need to pull the plug on this. And it may not be the full business. There just may be aspects and components of the business. Stacey, in your books, you talk about employees and how you work with them. And there are times when they're not all on board with where you're trying to go. When do you decide that maybe you need to take a detour in your dream in order to keep things moving forward?
When do I decide to let them take a detour? So they don't
I love that transition there.
so they don't mess up my dream. I think it just depends on a lot of things. Like, for instance, before I started Zecca School of Arts and Technology, I was an educator, and I was working as at Smart Start as a early childhood specialist for about 7 years. And I would come home at night and be putting things in place for me to be able to get to the space of opening a nonprofit, because Zecca didn't start out as a school. I was working on the nonprofit aspect of it. And then I was able to come across this grant. And once I got the grant, I was able to run an after school program. And so what would happen is I hired people to run the after school program, and I still went to my regular 9 to 5 because it wasn't enough money in the grant. It was only like $50,000 to start with. So it wasn't enough money that was going to pay me a salary so that I can be able to step out of my regular 9 to 5 job. And then once I was able to secure some additional funding and some of my numbers grew, and I got to the point where I can move over and employ myself to run the program, I just jumped. But every day I had to work that 9 to 5, and then I had to come home and work another, 8 to 12 to work on building up what I needed. And a lot of people thought I was crazy because I was spending a whole lot of time. I was tired. I was exhausted. I was gaining weight. I was doing all that, but I was determined. I was determined that eventually this dream of mine was going to come into full circle so that I could be able to move over and start doing the thing that I wanted to do, because I knew I was, told to start a school. But I think you determine when to make your moves just off of what makes financial sense to you as well. Because I also had 2 personal kids. So I couldn't just jump and be like, oh, okay, to figure it out. And I think that's when I'm working with some of my employees, and I'm telling them, like I tell all my teachers, you guys should have a second stream of income, because people love to complain about how teachers aren't making enough money. Well, you have a gift and talent. So figure out what your gifts and talents are and start you a second stream of income. And then, and I don't ever, discourage that. If your gift and talent can carry you into becoming an entrepreneur, I think that's what you should do, because if that's what you want to do passionately, you should strive to do those things. But I think you have to be, you have to make an assessment of when the time is right for you to fully transition, and make sure that when you do that transition, you're willing and ready to take all the good, the bad, and ugly that's going to come with it, because you're going to have some good times and you're going to have some hard times. You're going to have some setbacks. You're going to have all of that. And if you are not determined, then what will happen is you'll find yourself out in this entrepreneur boat, and you'll be remembering what it felt like when it was just a hobby, and it'll be easy for you to revert back to hobby status. So it really just determines on your grit. Like, what do you want to do and how you want to look, so that you'll know when you want to jump.
And you make a very valid point, because sometimes we don't know when things are going to change. Art and Sheldana, we went through this pandemic, and your industry was impacted by that. Talk to us about how you managed to stay the course during a pandemic, which was for a really long time. What did that look like for you and your industry?
Sad.
Yes.
Sad, yes.
So essentially, we were closed down for 12 weeks, 11 or 12 weeks, and it was a struggle. It was a struggle, but I mean, we've been. Luckily for us, we've been in the business and have had some success for a while. So we may not have had it as difficult as some other people. But and then the other things that were available, PPP and EIDL, and then there were grants and so on and so forth, and some things that we were able to utilize. But yeah, we knew that that we have a solid business plan, a solid business, and that we'd be ready to rock and roll as soon as they open back up. But it definitely was looking difficult there for a while.
Now, you all, especially being in the hair industry, some companies, some businesses, hair salons didn't recover because they didn't take advantage of a few of the things that you offered. But one of the things that you all do offer is great customer service. How do you help people in the industry help their clients understand some of the things you go through? Because oftentimes clients don't understand that it's a business. Outside of being a beauty salon, there's some real dollars and cents attached. How do you help clients and people who need the service, want the service, make the decisions to stay the course with you?
Well, I mean, one of the things that I try to do is, I try to explain. I don't have a lot of day-to-day interaction, but I try to, explain to Sheldana and our other staff to just to let people know that, we're never going to be the cheapest game in town just because we, the amount of overhead and because of the level of service that we try to deliver. And we just try to explain that we're not Food Line. We're more like Wegmans, So, you're going to play, it's going to be a slightly higher price point, but you're going to get incredible service when you come here.
I can appreciate that. So for those of you who are not in the DMV, who do not understand Art's analogy between Food Lion and Wegmans, it's the difference between Safeway and Randall's, the difference between H-E-B and Kroger, or the difference between going to Ecker Drugs, Walgreens, Dwayne Reed, and Publix. So from wherever you are watching, as you can tell, there are levels of degrees depending on the quality of service that you desire. And so businesses who believe in what they do, companies who appreciate their staff and their clients will go the extra mile to make sure they're continuing to offer service, whether we were shut down for a pandemic, whether you are in a space or area where there was a hurricane or a tornado. Companies who believe in who they are and what they do will go the extra mile for their people because they not only believe in living their dream, but also the way we look helps us live our dream. Let's talk about that for a moment as we're kind of winding down. How important is it how you look when you go out? Dr. Tierney, talk to us about the power of presence and self-esteem that's attached to it.
Absolutely. So I am my brand. So when you see me, you are seeing my brand, my business, and I carry myself in a way that when you see me, you know pretty much what you're going to get when you interact with Dr. Tierney Enterprises, LLC. From my website, to my processes and the systems that my clients interact with when they are doing everything from scheduling their session all the way down to payments to reminders and everything in between. It all connects. I want to make sure that when you see me, you are seeing a reflection of what you would receive when you work with me, particularly with me being in the life coaching space. It's a very intimate process, and so I want to make sure that anytime you see me out and about, that what you see is what you get. You never have to worry about, well, I saw her on a Balanced Life and I kind of saw her on Instagram, but when I saw her in person, or, her website says this, or it looked like it was easy, but then child, it was so many back end, it was so confusing. No, I always think about the end user in every aspect of what I do and how I do it and how I show up. If you are lacking that confidence piece, if you are lacking and feeling that imposter syndrome and the insecurity, it's going to show up. It is absolutely positively going to show up. This is why it's important to not just dress up the outside. It's not enough just to have a really pretty website. It's not enough to have your hair styled and wear the right clothes and say the right things, when you're in front of the right people. It really matters what you think of you. It matters what you think of your clients. Do you see your clients as just a transaction? If you do, if any of that is present, it's going to show and it will impact your bottom line. Trust me.
That makes perfectly good, Stacey, talk to us about that for a moment, because you're expanding, you're growing, you're doing so many things. And when your kids are out in the community, they know they go to your school. How do you accomplish that brand building from you, the legacy builder, all the way down the line and across the board?
As I was listening to what Dr. Tierney said, what popped in my mind was character. So early in the game, clean up your character, figure out what type of person you are. I'm a very giving person. I'm a very loving person. I love to, go towards the light and give light to others. I see the hope. I see, in everything. I always see my glass as half full versus half empty, and I'm very confident in who I am as a person. And every time I interact with a child or a family, I'm always looking at it from a standpoint of what can I give to you that will help make your situation better and help you be able to be in control of making your situation even better. So my character traits within me is something that, I had to work on over the years because it was there, but you don't know it. And you may not always operate from that side, and you can't articulate that so much. So now I'm in a space where I can do that. And then when you go down to your brand, with the population that I serve, you have to be relatable. You have to be somebody that they can relate to. So I'm just a little old poor girl from the hood. I'm going to always be that person, right? I'm going to always be from the hood, but I don't have to be of the hood. So I've learned how to operate in different settings. And so when I said earlier that there's people in the community who might say, well, I don't like the way she dressed, because you catch me when I'm not at my 9 to 5. I might have on some jeans and a crop top of my brand, right? It's respectable, but that's just, I'm still young. That's what I want to do, and that's what I'll do. But I teach kids that, and I teach people around me that is how you interact with people, is how you interact in your situation that's going to make a difference in the lives of others. Because of my jeans and my crop top, I can see a teenage girl who now will listen to what I have to say because she don't think that I'm being some overly PhD smart person. And there's nothing wrong with that because I'm working on my PhD and I'm almost at that juncture too. Take me in the boardroom and I'm going to have a suit on and I'm going to have, my makeup and everything that I needed to do. So for me, I can operate in any room that you put me in. I know how to switch, and I don't like to say code switching because what I'm gonna bring to you is my authentic language. I'm gonna bring to you my what I grew up with in my experiences. That's all we can bring to any table is who we are. So I've heard people say, oh, you're not going to be successful. For my 11th grade teacher, if you're still out there, who said you're not going to be anybody because of the way you slice your verbs and cut and use your grandmother's dialect, I'm somebody. And I still might slice a verb every now and then. So you can only bring you to the table. But what you got to do is improve you so that you can start bringing the best you to the table, right? And I've also learned that if I come to your table and you don't want me, I'll create my own table. So
I think that that's important, being able to create your own table. I want to give Arden Sheldana the last words in this block. And Arden Sheldana, my question is, what is one tip or word of advice that you would give people in your industry to keep moving forward?
You want to take that? You want me to take that? I would just suggest focus, absolute focus and determination. And like one of the young ladies was saying earlier, don't listen to anybody. Don't listen to naysayers. Believe that you can do anything. And make a plan. Always have a plan, but have supreme confidence in yourself and believe that you can do anything.
I like that. Thank you all for watching today, and thank you for sharing these tips and tidbits. When we come back, I'll give my reflections.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to A Balanced Life. And as you can tell, when we say this all the time, so we're not trying to scare you out of entrepreneurship. However, being your own boss is not for the faint of heart. It requires you to be sold out for you 100%. It requires determination, patience, and you got to love yourself. You got to be in that space where you feel as if you can accomplish anything. Honestly, we're so busy out here self-doubting that other people are really afraid of our potential. So when you see that as a perspective for yourself, it should allow you to feel as if you can move yourself forward. Keep going, keep moving, keep thriving. It is for this reason that A Balanced Life is able to be what it is able to be. From the things that I do on a regular basis to where I am now, it gives me the space and the confidence to say, I can do this and I was meant for it. And I say that to you, you can do this and you were meant for it. Thanks for watching. Bye now.